and welcome to my channel. I am Stephanie. This is the week 43, October the 20th through the 26th weekly review or wrap up. As I said, this is the week 43's October the 20th through the 26th weekly wrap-up, where I tell you all the books that I read last week, what I'm reading this week, or currently reading type thing. And it has been a busy weekend. If you are interested in seeing the behind the scenes from my weekend and last week, make sure you check over at my Patreon to give support in donation form, and you will be able to see longer vlogs and behind the scene vlogs that I'm not putting on this channel because, as I've said before, vlogs take a little bit more time to put together and everything like that, and I greatly appreciate your donations, which I already have a couple, and I appreciate those people, which will be shouted out at the end of the month of each and every month for those that decide to support me. Okay, let's just get into what I read last week, because I just got home from that long weekend of doing crazy stuff, and I want to go eat some food. And it's like the middle of the day, and I'm trying to get this out for you guys tonight. Yeah. So the first book that I finished last week was Always With You, Connor Family number 6 by Layla Hagan. I place this in contemporary. I give it 4.25 stars. I give it 2 Steam fans. And I listened to it as an audiobook at the request of a PR company. This book follows Reed and Haley. Reed is a hotel mogul who's also a hermit of sort. He has some issues of his own. And this deals with Haley, who is a PR genius and is helping Reed to sort of get out of some things that his ex-fiance is saying about him. This is a very low sort of conflict sort of story. It's very one way, but it was very entertainable and enjoyable. I did enjoy the family aspect of the story, and how Haley has her family that is really big, I guess, and you meet them in the stories previous to this for the Connor Family series by Layla Hagan. And I really like that I didn't necessarily need to read the rest of the stories to understand the dynamic between Haley and Reed to enjoy their couple story in this situation. And also, Reed has a family with some family issues, and those were very touching, and like I said, very low angst and just kind of sweet and fun. The next book that I finished was Roping Your Heart, Love in Everton number 2 by Fabiola Francisco. I'm placing this in contemporary as well. I give it 4.5 stars. I give it 3 Steam fans. I read this as an arc. We are now back in the small town of Everton, and this story follows Axel, who is the brother to the story that we first read in the first book. And Axel is this cowboy that takes care of horses on his family's farm and has his own house on their property, and is really just this really all-around good guy. He gets this horse that is kind of difficult to break, and Leah is the girl that he was a high school sweetheart with, and she went away to do her own thing, kind of make a name for herself. And when she comes back to town, she starts helping him with this horse that is very difficult to break. Things happen. There's some conflict in this one. It is about second chances and things like that. It's very low angst as well. So if you just want a sweet second chance love story and enjoy the journey of a cowboy in a small town, where the small town is part of, you know, the ambiance of the story, then this is definitely the book for you. The next book that I finished was Cards of Love, 3 of Swords by Willow Winters. I place this in dark new adult, and I give it 4.25 stars. I give it 5 Steam fans. I listen to it as an audiobook. I do know that this is part of a series of standalone books based on this cover. When they first came out, I started sort of collecting them, but I'm not exactly sure how many books are in this series, but this is definitely a standalone. It is, I would say it's a novella. It only took me about 4 hours to get through the audiobook, and this book follows Sophie and Maddox, and they had this run-in when they ended up getting together. She was on the precipice of being assaulted, and he stepped in with his friends and, you know, took care of her, made sure that she wasn't assaulted in any way, and then they had a relationship, and then Sophie left. For some unknown reasons. You find out those reasons. You find out why Maddox didn't call her, didn't get in touch with her when she did leave, and this is their story. This one is a little more angsty, definitely a little frustrating at times, but I definitely digged the sexiness in this because Maddox is that alpha guy that is just like, mine, 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 and in such a, like, fun and sexy way in my book. The next book that I finished was Cocky Roommate, Book Boyfriend number 2 by Claire Kingsley. I placed this in contemporary. I give it 4 stars. I give it 4 Steam fans. I listened to this on audiobook. This is a hate to lovers situation where Kendra, who is now a freelance editor, after helping her brother with his books and things like that, she is now taking on, you know, clients of her own, and she needs a roommate because the house that she lives in, not having a really, really steady income, she just needs the extra help. So Weston is her brother's bad boy, sort of cocky surgeon friend that needs a place to stay because he's burned all his bridges at all the hotels because he's a playboy, and he moves in with Kendra. They have this like bumping head sort of situation going on until something happens and they are forced to be in each other's orbit and world and deal with maybe he's not as bad or maybe she's not as bad as I thought they were. So the next book that I finished was The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan. This is the first book in all the King's Men's duet by Kennedy Ryan. I'm placing this in realistic contemporary. Woo! This book, gave it 5 stars. Gave it 4 Steam fans. I read it as an ARC, and I like begged for this one to get into my Kindle. I signed up for it and everything like that, and it didn't come right away, but I was determined to read this book, and oh, am I happy that I did. When I finished this novel, or this part of the story, I was just like overwhelmed with awesomeness because I knew there was a reason that I stalked Kennedy Ryan books, because woo, I just finished The Kingmaker by her, and has she been putting me through the ringer for the last day? Oh my God. Kennedy, once again, pulls realistic drama into a fictional world and makes you love these characters like no other. Oh, once again, Kennedy Ryan bleeds and creates and intertwines this realistic way of looking at characters, making you feel like she is writing them from own voices. So this book follows Lennox, who is a Native American woman, i.e. indigenous to Americas. She is Apache, and she meets this guy, Maximum, who has a father that is really, really just bad. Really bad guy. And the two of them meet when there's a protest about a pipeline entering into the Apache lands, and she has some family things that have happened to her, and Maximum ends up blocking her and protecting her from getting a dog bite during the riot that ends up breaking out during the protest, and just all of the things that are real world about, that are going on in the real world, are intertwined into this book about indigenous people getting their lands taken from them, but not in such a heavy way that you miss the fun and sweetness and sexiness of this couple coming together and figuring out their two parts of a river that keep breaking and flowing and moving, and it is just amazing. I can't wait to get to the second part and the conclusion of their journey, because some things that happened by the end of this book were just jaw-dropping. Now, Kennedy has said in interviews and in the cover release for this duet that she was inspired by Scandal and Shonda Rhimes for this novel, or for this duet, and you can totally see it. It's written all over this, but in a way that it does not feel like Kennedy took two characters from Scandal and just kind of placed them into this book. There's so many differences that it just gives a Scandal-esque feel, and I was completely here for it. Just completely here for it, and I cannot wait to get to the second part of this book. The next book that I finished was Arena Lights, which is part of the Team Players Volume number 2 or number 2 anthology, and this story is by Mandi Beck. I place this in New Adult. I give it 4 stars. I give it 3 Steam fans, and I read it as an ebook. It deals with a softball player and a hockey player, and they are at a softball summer camp, and in Arizona. They're from Boston, where, you know, hockey is like all points. This is also a brother's little sister, coach's little brother kind of story. It was fun. It was sweet. It was sexy. There is some twin action going on, and I just really, really enjoyed this quick peek at this couple, and I could have, you know, I wanted some more of it. The next book that I finished was Code Queen by Webster. This is a dark fairy tale retelling, and I'm still on the fence, or I have no clue which dark or which fairy tale this is a retelling of, but this is part of the Sinister Fairy Tales collection. I give this book 4.5 stars. I give it 4 Steam fans. I read it as an ARC. It does come out soon, so you guys can get it. And this book follows Queen Elzira. I can't remember how I pronounced it, but she is the queen of the Northlands, and she is dying, and she's trying to take care of her sister, who is the princess, and King Reich ends up coming in of the Southlands. They're known for their fire, and she's known for her ice and ruthlessness. She's cruel, and she will do whatever she has to do to defend. However, she is sick and dying, but the two of them end up having this sort of negotiation that goes along, and the story just moves from there. I don't want to say too much because this is something you need to experience. It took me a little bit to get into because it is a very fantastical story, and it's fantastic. I loved it. I was like, I don't know where it's going. I don't know how I'm going to deal with this fantasy portion of this story, but Webster did something, and by the end of it, I was like, yes, I want more. Give me more of this. And I loved it. 2 merging kingdoms into one, and there's some gore, and there's some war, and there's some sexy times that are just on point. The next book that I finished was Falling for the Playboy by Kennedy Fox. I place this in romantic comedy. I give it 4.25 stars. I give it 3.5 Steam fans. I listened to this as an audiobook, and it was just because. This book follows Olivia and Maverick, and so we have a PA, or personal assistant, for an evil author that does not know her PA's worth, and Maverick is the cover model that has to go on tour with this evil author, and he doesn't fly, so the PA, Olivia, has to drive around with Maverick, and the two of them sort of get to know each other. This is their story. She seems like a, you know, kind of a wimp throughout most of the story for me with all that she does, but at the same time, Kennedy Fox does a really good job at showing, you know, this is what this author is doing and why she's doing it, and this is sort of the PA's stance on it, why she believes that she has to be handled the way that she's handled. And Maverick is kind of a douche in the beginning, and it wasn't until probably half of 50% that I started to enjoy him, until I did enjoy him. But, you know, it was really entertaining. I enjoyed this book. The next book that I finished was Textin, Up My Heart by Teagan Hunter, and this is a rom-com novella. I suggest that you read Let's Get Textual, which is the book that follows this couple in Teagan's series Texting, before you read this book. I give this book 4 stars. I give it to Steam fans. I listen to it on the podcast of Read Me Romance. Read Me Romance. And this is a Polycon author. I'm actually also going to see Teagan at Indies in Philly in a couple weeks. This book follows Zach and Delia. Like I said, they are the couple from Let's Get Textual, and this is a continuation. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the things that are happening in the rest of the series or about this couple, make sure you read that book first. And it's just a fun little look into their lives and some things that they hadn't talked about in their relationship. Then the final book that I read last week was Girl in Love, which is book number 1. I'm not exactly sure what this duet's name is called, but it's book number 1 by Crownover and Rebecca Yarros. I place this in New Adult. I give this book 4.5 stars. I give it 4 Steam fans. I read it as an arc, even though it came out a while ago, and I think this may have been like a re-release or something or another. I'm not exactly sure, but this is a fake dating story. Yay, it was amazing. Langley is this rich girl that her stepsister is marrying her ex-boyfriend. And the stepsister's evil. She's just downright horrible. So Langley is being pressured to be in the wedding, and she needs to find someone that is going to sort of ruffle the feathers of the stepsister and stepmother. And in walks Iker, and he is a soldier. Yes. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Loved that aspect. And for some that don't know, Rebecca Yarros is a military wife, so she got all of her soldier stuff right. I love that. I love when authors get it right when it comes to the military, because me being prior military, I expect that in a story that deals with the military. If it's not right, then you don't get all the stars. So this is them fake dating at her evil sister's wedding, and things unravel. It's only supposed to be a week, but is it really going to just be a week? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. And we won't find out until, let's get into the things that I am currently reading. And I will be reading Boy in Love by Crownover and Rebecca Yarros, which is the conclusion of that last book that I just talked about. I am also going to be reading Loving Miss Sassy by Joanne Schwim and A.M. Madden. This is the 5th book in the Wrong series. I think it's called the Wrong series, but it's like a dating series where these people from the different sides or reluctantly get together in different manners. I can't wait. This is the sister of 2 of the characters that we've already met, I believe, so I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to reading London and Shay. I have been seeing reviews or like tweets and things like that about people being in tears. I could definitely use that right now. That's by Brittany C. Cherry. I will be reading the monthly pick that you guys did for me. You will find out what that is in the wrap-up. I will be starting that one. It was sort of close, not really close, but that video is definitely closed right now. And then I have another list that I'm still working on from my NetGalley dashboard that I will be working on as well. So those are the things that I read last week, the things that I am currently reading. Have you read any of those things? Let me know down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought. Let me, let's discuss them. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. Remember, I started a Patreon. I would appreciate you guys donating. Thank you very much. Information in the description box. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.